Hey guys, Mather here once again with a quite different character from my usual standard because it is ultra thick. Now, with this sort of build, I wanted to set myself the goal of using Aegis Aurora because I've used it a few times in the past and I know it's basically a cheat weapon to feel, or cheat tool to feel really good throughout most of the game. And then I also wanted to use Blade Flurry, something that not many people use, but I've been told feels pretty damn nice. And then on an Inquisitor. So all of that combined, the basic outset of the character is just Aegis Aurora, and then see how we go with Blade Flurry. It ended up turning into a energy blade character, so I was pretty flexible on what I was going to do for a weapon. Ephemeral Edge seemed very meta at the moment. So did Hand of Wisdom in action. So I decided to attack with Energy Blade. Now, that's not too unfamiliar for me for using Energy Blade, but I haven't really had a proper good attack-based Energy Blade ever, I don't think. It's usually just, a cast-on crit build or a pure battle mage sort of build. And in this case, it actually worked out really well. The big problem is you've got to do a lot of fixing of lots of things, like your attack speed, your accuracy, your AoE, and then ultimately it comes together to feel pretty damn nice. In this case, it was just a Aegis Aurora, really thick Inquisitor. I wanted to use Melding of the Flesh, and I couldn't end up fitting that in with all of the stuff I was trying to fit in. So I wanted 90 all res, I wanted CI, lots of armor, lots of energy shield, lots of block, and it was all just maybe a little bit much. So in the end, I landed on something like 84 to all res with 88 cold res, I think, not using Melding of the Flesh, so that made it just a little more flexible on my gear. And then, just Aegis Aurora with lots of armor and energy shield and block. And the one big weakness, as you can maybe sometimes see, is still DGEN, because we don't do anything against DGENs. We just have pretty strong defense against hits. So it ends up being somewhat a bit of a hole in the otherwise unkillable defenses, but it is still pretty damn insane. It's possibly the thickest character I've ever built, and it feels that way throughout all the endgame content. It's not really my style of build at all, because it just gets kind of boring, I'm not going to lie. Every single time I make a really thick character, it's not really my style. So every single time I do make one of these, as soon as it hits this threshold of I barely have to try throughout most of the game, I get kind of turned off. It's still a novelty, it's still quite a lot of fun, and I understand what it is for a lot of people, but it stops, feeling like some kind of cool gameplay to me, which often isn't that much cooler than what I'm currently doing, obviously. It's still just Path of Exile, running around blasting everything to smithereens, but it does just feel a little bit more, little less high stakes, let's just say. In any case, it was a real fun character to actually play because, aside from the boring thickness of it, because Blade Flurry was pretty damn nice. So I think a big part of Blade Flurry is fixing the attack speed and then also some kind of clear element to it, and that in this case is a Barracks Ring with the 5% explode. If you got the double 5% explode, it would be just a little bit thicker, I suppose, but didn't really seem necessary at all. In this case, just having one source of that explode, taking up your entire ring slot, it was pretty damn good. It was enough to make the clear feel really good, and then you just needed a lot of attack speed, and then you'd zoom around and blow up packs, and Vile Blade Flurry would actually come in pretty hard too, which is just basically a big circle, and then it would unleash a bunch of attacks within that circle, and during that charge up of Vile Blade Flurry, you have extra defenses too, like less damage taken. So Blade Flurry is a little bit slept on. It's obviously not the S tier skill of the moment, it's not going to blast entire screens with projectiles like some others, but it's pretty comfortable, and it can scale fairly well with damage as well, so I would recommend checking that one out with various setups. The biggest thing, like I said, is attack speed. Until you get good attack speed, it does feel a bit clumsy because you're just firing up stages pretty slowly, and this character still doesn't feel like it's at a great level of attack speed, even though I've done quite a lot to try and fix it. I think you can do more, and then have a cooler Blade Flurry once again. And there's not too much you need to do to get there, for area either. I think I was mostly just using Pulverize with Blood and Sand. So if you had real big area on the build, or on a Blade Flurry build, you'd be hitting pretty much screen wide. So it's absolutely doable in 2025. I've had lots of people come in and be like, oh my god, Blade Flurry, why, I wish this was playable. It is. It's very playable. You just gotta, do it. But as you can see, the thickness becomes pretty real. So I'm limit testing almost every single piece of content in the game with this character. I tried, I think, almost everything at this point and just wanted to check how hard most things hit, because I've got a lot of fizz damage reduction, I've got a lot of armor, and I've got a lot of just like overall less kind of damage taken. So it feels pretty unrealistically thick compared to my normal builds, and it does make a lot of the game a bit of a joke. So it's comfortable, it's nice for a change, but it's still definitely not my playstyle. In any case, it's nice to be able to mitigate a lot of the bullshit the game has to throw at you, especially in the form of like tier 17s, where some stuff is just pretty much undodgeable, unmaneuverable when too much of it is being thrown at you. Here's a good example of just some stuff we can tank as well. Usually, these little explodey skeletons are a bit dangerous, but I thought, hey, we should probably be okay to just tank these and not have to move. And yeah, I'd say Katarina is going to be one of the easier tier 17s for this character, because I don't think pretty much anything except for the DGEN beam and the DGEN ground does much damage here. I'm even using, the map even has like Mark for Death on it, and it's not really a factor. So it's pretty cool to do Aegis Aurora with the new Foulborn, because that thing has damage cannot be reflected. So that just eliminates a couple of rolls from the map mod pool for you to have to worry about. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else crazy Foulborn. Foulborn Oxium is the other thing I'm using as well for big scaling. So if you wanted to go all out with this kind of a build, you could obviously chuck in a Mage Blood, increase the cost of the build by about 4 or 5 times. But then have a much more reliable character with even bigger defenses, of course, and more speed involved as well. I think you'd have a little less damage in some cases, I suppose, because Oxium's actually pretty good, as I'll show you in a second. But the good thing about Oxium is it's basically free. I think I paid like 2 chaos for mine. And that's pretty much a perfect roll, and it gives you a lot of good things for a build like this. So definitely look around for some cool Foulborns out there that not too many people are using. Obviously, Mage Blood is still pretty damn good, though. I didn't really want to do that this time around once again, just because it would kind of cheapen the character. But I did put on a decent amount of pretty good items on this one, as you'll see in a sec. So the running total for the build is probably something like 50 Divines. And that was still keeping it somewhat budget, since we've got a lot more to spend at the moment, because it's not really Poverty League. I've had lots of things happen, lots of things drop, and somehow pretty much more rich than I think I've ever been throughout a league. So this character, great big success. That's pretty much all that needs to happen for it. So I've taken on all the content. I think I've almost hit 95, or maybe did hit 95, maybe 94. And it's been a lot of fun. So with that, let me go ahead and show you what I think is my best attack-based energy blade I've ever played. So with this one, level 94, the Consigan, about to hit 95. It was a character that was basically good detox from the previous one where I couldn't see shit, but I kind of needed to, right? On this one, I actually don't even need to see shit, because we can just tank everything. But regardless, that's what happened. And it is an energy blade, as I mentioned. It's probably a little bit different way of building energy blade compared to I've done before as well. So once again, another bit of an experiment. Because gear can get so crazy, you can have such thick armors and gear that you don't need to just focus on pure ES. You don't need to do some cheese stuff like Ivory Tower. Instead, just grabbed a 110 fractured Sacred Chainmail, which has it was 25 quality. This thing costs, I think, 1 divine off the market. So perfect fracture with perfect sacred orb on a 25 quality, 1 divine, good league. And then put 2 dense fossils into it, got the prefixes, and then locked prefixes and did fizz reroll to get that fizz, slammed int, and here we go with the armor, which only costs a few divines at the end of the day. So because of something like this, and then the mastery over here, which can double your armor if you got the right gloves, boots, helm, you can basically energy blade off of just something like that, which is pretty crazy these days. So, having like 6k ES isn't huge, but if you've got huge thickness behind it, that's good enough. So we've built around Aegis Aurora, which is damage cannot be reflected, and then recover 2% of your armor when you block as energy shield. So you can see that's my base armor there with all the extra armor. We've got 64k. So that means that we've got about 1300 ES coming back towards us per block. And my block is technically capped. It's glancing below capped because it was going to be a little bit hard to just get true block all the way. Decided to just go glancing in the last couple of levels, and that was more than good enough. Like, it's fine. Glancing's pretty good as long as you've got a lot of thickness behind it. So, like I said, I wanted to do melting of the flesh since we have a lot of cold res to begin with, and I went with like a cryonic ring over here. So it's supposed to be that way. Cryonic ring for the max cold res. I was trying to stack max cold res and do melting of the flesh, but it just felt a little bit too hard to fit in all the resists. So I just pulled that back a bit and then just did some all res instead. So my chest has max all res and some stuff on the tree as well. But we're wearing a blue ring because I'm also using Verity's Veil for, I think, the first time ever. The +2 just inherent on it seemed to be a pretty good idea with all the extra res. And then we are immune to crit damage, so that's pretty damn good. And damage of enemies hitting us is unlucky, meaning you just take less damage while getting hit on average. And then the +1 power charge roll on it was only a few divines, so fuck it, why not? I tried to go for a bit of power charge stacking this time around, which honestly wasn't that worth it. It's with these over here, so we did steal the Guardian charge nodes, which at the time cost 15 divines. Probably the cheapest I'd have seen them for, myself to be able to buy them, so I decided to do that. It wasn't really hugely worth doing power charge stacking because I wanted to do power charge on crit as one of my sockets as some more damage as well, which really, I couldn't fit it in because there was too many other good supports. So I do have 8 power charges, but they're not that important to the build like, some power charges might be on Ralakesh builds, stuff like that. So you could easily go without that. But it is very nice to have the endurance charges built in. If you can't get that, then anointing something like this for permanent endurance would be pretty good as well. And then just getting a bit of endurance or something would be fine as well. But Veritas is pretty cool because it gives you +2, meaning that you're enlightened, even though it's a level 3 piece of shit, it can be level 5. And then we've got our Arctic armor over here. We've got determination and discipline. Aside from that, the barracks, yep, put that on as soon as you can. Get some shock prolif and it just clears for you. It feels very good. So my shock prolif is coming from just these 3 points over here and then a little bit of prolif from that. Even without prolif, it starts to feel good, but once you get that, clear is just that little bit nicer. Oxium, really good for this type of a build. You can quality it for defense and then it'll be 7% ES per power charge, but in this case I went for attack, so it is elemental damage with attacks per power charge, and we've got like 30, so it is pretty damn good to have all those extra power charges, but it's not, super pivotal. And then Shaper's Touch, can't go wrong with those. Always going to do good stuff for you. The +1 on them lets you have a bigger enhance that cuts energy blades penalty by a little bit more. And then just, tree crafted boots, of course, pretty damn easy. Lots of armor ES. And then there I've got, a few curses and auras and stuff and whatever. Stone Golem, barely ever pressing him. He just dies a lot. Fuck him, doesn't do anything. And then cast and damage taken ball lightning, which helps sustain just a little bit more because I do have a Watcher's Eye over here with determ, fizz damage reduction determ, and then energy on hit. These things are like 3 divines, so not too big of a deal. And yeah, so then the tree, it's kind of similar to how normally my normal energy blade tree, which goes like this way and then all the way through, and that is probably a better tree if I'm going to be honest, but this one did try and fit in a few extra things for like rage and thickness and shit through the max res. So I did it a bit differently, but yeah, it paid off still. So previous character I think had like 1500 ES and hit like 11k ES if you want to look at my previous energy blade. This one's got substantially less of both things, but it is much thicker as an actual character. And we are using a Lethal Pride over here for Leech, which doesn't do anything at the moment. I was going to get Ghost Reaver. Intimidate, double damage, double damage. We've got 1 cluster over here for shield stuff, which gives me Mana Leech. That pretty much takes care of mana. 1 Veteran Defender. That's my 2 Forbidden Flames. I'm using a double Foulball on the Blue Dream, which was suggested by someone else, and we looked into it. It was 10 divines, which makes it I guess, affordable, which is just crit multi, but then it also gives us energy shield per lightning res. So you take all these ints and turn them into lightning res, and then they still give you energy shield, but even more than before. And then this node over here gives you more energy shield because it's based off your res, and this one gives you some extra energy shield for the res. It ends up being a pretty damn good thing. I don't think you have to do the crit charge. Crit per power charge thing, it's not super strong for the extra 10 divines you're paying because the other one's free, but that's what is happening there. Then a cluster over here, I just straight up bought this thing for 5 divines, couldn't be fucked rolling a cluster, so fuck it. And then I fractured it once just for the memes, and we hit the good thing, but I wasn't going to re-roll it because it's already good enough. So we're just looking for attack speed and 35 effect, basically on a shield cluster. Bit of stats or int or something is good too. Energy shield, of course, would be good as a prefix, but we need to try and fix a little bit of attack speed, so that's what all of these things are doing. And then over here, I've started to try and do some max res bullshit. You can buy any combo of res, ones, twos, and colds, lightnings, and then flip them using harvest to get the 2 perfect max res you want. This thing was like 5C, this thing was like 20C. No one's really looking too closely at these sorts of items for some reason. And then yeah, CI, and that's pretty much it. And that's the build. And then I was really tossing up between my last Ascendancy because there's a lot of cool stuff we can do. We can get even thicker with the Breach Lords and have less fizz damage taken and stuff. But I just wanted to smoothen out my playstyle a bit with the attack speed. So once again, ended up doing the attack speed from Flurry Tiger stuff. Is what it is, but our points are very flexible for this build, which basically do these 4, and then these and these can be just about any bloodline you want, and just change up your playstyle entirely if you want. You can go full regen stuff as well if you want instead. It's very flexible. You can build this character many different ways, and yeah, I think it's going to be entirely up to how much thicker you want, how much more attack speed, how much more AoE, energy shield, whatever the fuck. I think it's going to be pretty damn flexible, and you probably don't even have to do Blade Flurry. I think it's just cool to do right now, and was pretty fun. The links here were Blade Flurry, Fortify, so Perma Fortified, Pulverize, Volatility, Crit Dam, and then Infused Channeling for even less damage taken while channeling. And then pretty important, I suppose, the 2 grafts I've got here, Wreathed in Lightning with attack speed. So whenever I'd press this, you can see this shit happens. If you stand in it, you have Lucky Dab, which is huge for our energy blades, so bear that in mind. You want to be pressing that for your burst windows. And then the graft that gives you Jolt, 3 more max damage per stack, 10 of those. It does make you take 10% increased damage, which sucks for our thickness, but we're thick enough to be able to afford it. If you get plus 4 levels on it, it turns from 2 to 3, so it becomes pretty damn good. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The amulet here I wasn't super happy with, just crafting with int essences. It landed dex, and that's not super useful for me, but the rest of it was decent, so I just kept it. But it can obviously be good bit better, and percent int isn't even that amazing for me given how small my int is. And then charges when hit on all your flasks mean that you're pretty much perma flask through most content, since blocking and stuff counts as the getting hit. Through simulacrums, for example, it's completely perma uptimed. So there I just got like some armors and crits and do whatever you want. And then the tincture fixes some more attack speed as well. And you can press that a lot because you've got a little bit of regen, and then also leech keeps it up too. So you do get to use your tincture quite often. It's not going to count in town. But yeah, I think that's about it. It's probably something like a 30 million TPS character. I haven't POB'd the whole thing, but I'll chuck up a POB obviously with this video. And quite a lot of thickness. So very good character, very fun to play, and can highly recommend. The cosmetics, that's just what the Viridies looks like. And then Voidborn from a few leagues ago, I think, a few supporters ago. Very expensive pack, but just lets you float. You can do the Maven Battle Pass armor instead and still look kind of this cool too. So with that, probably going to be trying Project Diablo 2. I'm super keen on this league still, but Project Diablo 2 is a lot of fun, and it's starting up in like 40 minutes. So I may have to go over and just stop PoE1 for the time being, even though I'm actually really loving it. And so far it has been my favorite first 4 weeks. I guess it's just my favorite league ever. You may as well say at this point. I know a lot of people don't feel that way, but it's just how it is for me. I've been loving this one. So with that, thank you very much for watching. See you guys next time.